Imagine this scene, a historic handshake, loads of hope in the air, a promise written down on paper, all designed to finally end decades of conflict. We're talking August 3rd, 2015, right in New Delhi. Top government officials are there, Prime Minister Modi included. And they signed the framework agreement for peace in Nagaland. It was seen as this huge step, golden ticket almost. Fast forward nearly 10 years, it's August 4th, 2025. And that golden ticket, well, it feels like it hasn't even been scratched yet. The whole peace process, which held so much promise, just seems, well, stuck, really stuck. So today, we're going to dive deep into this, really try and unpack it. We'll look at the framework agreement itself, the key players involved, and they're pouring in very different directions, believe me. And we'll trace back those historical threads that make this whole thing such a tangled puzzle. What was actually promised? Why is it proving so hard to make progress? And crucially, what does all this mean for the people of Nagaland? They've been waiting a long time.
It's a really fascinating situation. It shows how just one document, the same document, could be interpreted so differently. And that leads to these really deep divisions. This dive, I think, will help us see the layers involved, the history, the identity politics, the political games, really. It's not just about what happened, but understanding why these disagreements are still so powerful, why they matter so much.
Okay, let's get into it then. The framework agreement. Signed August 3rd, 2015, in New Delhi. The basic idea was to finally end this decades-long insurgency, right? It was meant to respect Nagaland's unique identity, but also find a way for peaceful coexistence within India. There was real hope then.
Exactly, and the absolute core of it, the really interesting part, was the language used. It explicitly recognized the Nagas' unique history and their sovereign rights. Now, for many Nagas, this was, well, it was huge, a massive acknowledgement, like finally being seen after such a long fight. It felt different from past talks, not just a law and order thing, but something deeper, political, historical.
A real sense of validation, maybe.
Yeah, precisely. But almost right away, those key phrases, unique history, sovereign rights, became the sticking point. What does unique really mean in practice? What do sovereign rights translate to on the ground? That's where the fight is. For some, especially the NSCN-IM, sovereign rights isn't just symbolic. It means real control, jurisdiction, things the Indian state usually holds tight.
Okay, so it's about power, fundamentally.
Fundamentally, it challenges the basic structure. It's not just words. It's about who governs what and how, different visions of self-determination clashing.
And speaking of the NSCN-IM, the National Socialist Council of Nagaland Isak Muiva, they're central to this whole thing, aren't they? They've been a major force in the Naga movement for ages. And they see this framework agreement as absolutely vital.
Oh, completely. Their commitment is, well, fierce. You see their chairman, Kutuku, recently urging members to defend it at any cost. For them, it's the bedrock. It's about Naga sovereignty, their vision. It includes a separate Naga flag, a separate constitution. That's key.
So not just another state within India, something different.
Exactly. They talk about a new relationship, one based on shared sovereignty. It's a unique setup they envision, where the Naga entity and India coexist, but with distinct powers. It pushes boundaries, for sure. Comes from their belief in a unique history, a political space they argue existed even before India's independence.
That's a very clear, very strong stance, not backing down.
Not at all.
But life's rarely that simple, is it? Is the NSCN-IM the only Naga group involved in these talks?
No, and that's where it gets even more complicated. There's another major player, or rather, a collective, the Naga National Political Groups, the NNPGs. It's a coalition, basically, of 7 other Naga factions.
Okay, NNPGs, and how do they fit in?
Well, here's the twist. They signed their own separate deal with the government. Back in November 2017, it's called the Agreed Position.
Hang on. 2 agreements for the same peace process. That sounds counterproductive.
It is definitely a source of major friction.
So what does the NSCN-IM think about the NNPGs and their agreed position?
They're highly critical. They often portray the NNPGs as, well, too close to the government, pushing for a solution that just fits neatly within the existing Indian constitution. Chairman Tuku has said flat out they can't work with the NNPGs, calls it a dangerous proposition.
Wow. Strong words.
Very strong. The accusation, essentially, is that the NNPGs are being manipulated by New Delhi. They're not masters of their own destiny, as they put it.
A divide and conquer tactic, basically. That's what they suspect.
That's exactly the fear. That the NNPGs deal, which focuses more on autonomy and development funds within India.
Rather than the separate flag and constitution.
Right. The NSCN-IM sees that as undermining their core demands for sovereignty, diluting the whole push for a unique political status. It just lays bare the deep distrust between these Naga groups themselves, Makes a unified approach almost impossible right now.
That level of distrust, it's hard to see how you move past that. And it suggests why history and specific words matter so much here. To really get why this is so sensitive, maybe we should step back again. You mentioned earlier recognition of unique history.
Yes, that goes back further. July 11th, 2002. Amsterdam, during earlier peace talks. That was when the Indian government first formally acknowledged the Naga's unique history. And that wasn't just a polite nod, it was significant. It shifted the narrative away from just insurgency towards recognizing a distinct political and historical claim.
What claim exactly?
The Naga narrative that they were never fully conquered by colonial powers, nor did they automatically join India at independence. That underpins their whole argument for a special status. So that 2002 recognition really paved the way for the 2015 Framework Agreement and its promise of a unique relationship.
Okay, so the history sets the stage.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned controversy around the text of the 2015 agreement itself, something about a missing word.
Yes. This is a huge point of contention, particularly for the NSCN-IM. It really poisoned the well, you could say. They insist that the original draft of the Framework Agreement contained the word new, as in a new relationship based on shared sovereignty.
New. Seems small, but sounds like it carried a lot of weight.
Immense weight. For them, new signified a fundamental break, a shift away from just being another state towards that shared sovereignty model. But they allege that this word new was later removed or somehow manipulated.
Manipulated? By whom?
They point the finger squarely at the former government negotiator, R.N. Ravi. He was central to the talks initially, but later became governor of Nagaland and, well, a major point of friction for the NSCN-IM.
So they accused him of changing the text.
Yes, they accused him of diluting the agreement's original spirit, backtracking on what was initially discussed. They even released what they claim was the original text back in 2020 to prove their point, trying to show this alleged tampering.
Wow, that's quite something. Discovering a key word vanished from a foundational document. Whether it's true or not, that accusation alone must shatter trust.
Absolutely. It completely erodes confidence in the process, in the other side's intentions. When the very agreement meant to bring peace becomes a source of dispute over its wording, where do you even begin? For the NSCN-IM, it felt like a betrayal. It just confirmed their deepest suspicions about the government's real goals.
So this historical baggage, this fight over wording, plus the current divisions with the NNPGs, it creates this perfect storm of distrust.
Exactly, an almost impenetrable wall, making common ground incredibly hard to find.
Which brings us back to the present, this 10th anniversary. No party hats, clearly. Instead, the NSCN-IM is digging in its heels. That call to defend the sanctity of this agreement at any cost, it's forceful.
It's a clear signal. They're not giving up on their interpretation of what was promised in 2015. They see it as their duty to protect that vision, no matter the difficulties.
And if we zoom out, what does this tell us about peace processes more broadly?
Well, it's a stark reminder, isn't it? Signing a paper is just the start. Maybe not even the hardest part. Real peace needs trust. It needs a shared understanding. It needs ways to deal with those deep historical wounds and different identities. Nagaland right now is a case study in what happens when those elements are missing.
What are the specific roadblocks now, besides the distrust?
You still have the core demands, the separate flag and constitution, which Delhi seems unwilling to grant. You have the internal divisions we talked about, the NSCN-IM versus the NNPGs. Without a united Naga front, it's harder to negotiate effectively. And then there's the lack of a clear, mutually agreed-upon interpretation of the framework agreement itself. If you can't agree on what the map says, it's hard to chart a course forward.
So the promises made on paper, they're only as good as the shared vision behind them. And right now, those visions are miles apart.
Dramatically so. It's created this deep stalemate.
Which leaves you wondering, how do you fix this? How do you rebuild trust when the very foundation is disputed? So, wrapping up this deep dive, the Nagaland peace process is clearly still incredibly fragile, very much stuck. That framework agreement, signed with so much optimism in 2015, is now. Well, it's both a symbol of that past hope and a symbol of the current gridlock.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? When the agreements themselves are argued over, when the main players won't even really work together because of past grievances and mistrust, how do you actually build lasting peace? It goes beyond just politics. It's about finding a common story almost, a way for different histories and identities to coexist without one erasing the other.
Yeah, it poses that fundamental question. What does it actually take for groups with such deep divisions, such different ideas about basics like sovereignty, to find a way forward together? Is reconciliation even possible when the very roadmap is read so differently by everyone involved? Or is this just destined to remain a promise unkept? Something to definitely think about as you navigate the complexities, the different viewpoints in your own world. Even the clearest words can mean different things to different people.